What's going on, YouTube? Now, most people realize that the best sellers in the class are the 3 Series and C Class, but they often don't recognize that the Q50 is right in the mix. As a matter of fact, so far this year, the Q50 is actually outselling the 3 Series, which is certainly no small feat. That's why we're spending the day at Infiniti of Lexington with this top-of-the-line Q50 Red Sport, finished in the gorgeous dynamic sunstone paint. Of course, if you're in the market for any new Infiniti, be sure to stop by their brand new dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's see why the Q50 has consistently been at the top of the sales charts. So getting started with the exterior design, Infiniti has done a good job of keeping things fresh. Just last year, they refreshed the front design so that the sport trims now look distinct from the standard models. That means the Sport and this Red Sport come with an extra crease around the grille and the extra black elements along the bottom. All models, however, come with these aggressive full LED headlights. But unlike the Q50 Coupe, the turn signal is located down next to the LED fog lights. Now, as far as the rest of the styling, it also carries on the aggressive theme, with really nice proportions at the side, and then an athletic rear design. Here on the Red Sport specifically, most of the styling is the same as the other trims, but we do have special satin exhaust finishers. As far as the taillights, they were updated last year with the LED paintbrush look that Infiniti is known for. And you can add either body colored, black, or carbon fiber spoilers if you want. So overall, the Q50 is still an attention-grabbing sports sedan, with styling that shows it means business, especially here on the Red Sport. Now, of course, since the Red Sport is the top-end model, it comes with these unique 19-inch graphite finished alloys. They are the largest wheels in the lineup, besides for the regular Sport, which has a different 19-inch alloy. Additionally, the red brake calipers are Red Sport exclusive. Coming up to the mirrors, the Red Sports have a distinct black finish, and they still have heating, power adjustment, blind spot monitoring, and auto dimming so long as you get the sensory package. As far as the rest of the safety systems, 2019 does add automatic forward emergency braking as standard equipment across the board, and then the rest of your systems are located in 2 packages. What is known as the Pro Assist package is standard on the Red Sport, and that includes rear auto braking and the 360 camera. However, we also have the Pro Active package, which adds the more advanced stuff like intelligent cruise control with full speed range, active lane control, blind spot intervention, and high beam assist. Finally, ending at the fuel tank, it is a pretty large 20-gallon one, good for a range of 440 miles with both rear and all-wheel drive. And as expected, it does require premium fuel. But anyways, that's it for the exterior. So now let's see the several 2019 updates on the inside. So every Q50 does come standard with Infiniti's intelligent entry system, and you will also find standard remote start on the fob. Now to get inside the vehicle, of course, it is very simple. You've got a sensor behind the door handle, so all you have to do is grab it. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2019 Infiniti Q50. As you can tell, the main componentry has not changed from the refresh last year. However, there are a few updates as you dig around. Now, as far as colors and materials, when you choose the Red Sport, you're always going to get this quilted semi-aniline leather. However, as you can see, one of the 2019 updates is we now have the gallery white color option, in addition to the traditional graphite color option. Now, turning over here to the door trim, it is very nicely finished. As you can see, you've got leather over pretty much the entire thing, including the armrest, as well as this patterned leather above it. And then all of this is real aluminum with 2 different finishes. Of course, all 4 of your windows are one-touch automatic, and you will find 2-person memory seating when you go for the sensory package. Now, coming down here to the seats themselves, they are 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar. However, we also have the power adjusting bolsters, which is this button, as well as a manual thigh extension. And then as far as the seat itself, it is beautiful. Like I said, this is semi-aniline leather, which is the nicest grade of leather. And then I really like the quilted design here on the bolsters. It looks very nice. So like I already mentioned, the Q50 was updated just last year. So the design and material updates from that carry over this year. So that means you do continue to have a soft touch dashboard, but you now have the stitching detail here, as well as here that was added last year. Of course, you do have real aluminum trim, which covers almost this entire center area. And you will also find a nice leather trim through here with some more color contrast stitching. And all in all the materials are very nice and everything fits together exceptionally well. Now, of course, as you would expect, you do have standard push-button start. And when you press it, you'll see the Infiniti InTouch system fire up here. The bottom screen is 7 inches, and then you also have a top screen, which is 8 inches. Now, as far as Red Sports are concerned, the gauges are pretty much the same as in the standard Q50 models. So you still have a simple and classy design with a large 5-inch multifunction display in the middle. Now you can just cycle through various different things using the buttons on the steering wheel, including the settings for all your different safety systems. Now, coming back to the steering wheel, of course it is nice leather wrapped. And on this specific model, we also have the direct adaptive steering system, which we'll talk about a little later in the video. As far as your buttons here, these are for your traditional audio and phone controls, as well as for the top screen with this one. And you do also have adaptive cruise control, as well as some safety system shortcuts. Up top, you'll find rain sensing wipers as standard equipment. And one of our 2019 changes are these paddle shifters. They do remain real metal, but this year we have a dark finish versus a light finish that it had last year. And then looking at the wheel itself, it is power adjusting on every Red Sport, and we also do have standard heating. Now, moving on to interior storage, the Q50 does pretty good for a compact sports sedan. So starting out with your center console here, as you can see, this is pretty deep, and it's also very nicely finished with a felt lining on the sides as well as the bottom. Inside, you'll find a 12-volt outlet, 2 USB ports, and an aux jack. In front of that, obviously, you've got your 2 cup holders. And then up in the front, you can open this up, and you've got a small little tray that you could fit something tiny in, as well as another 12-volt outlet. Now, Infiniti has kept with a traditional shifter versus an electronic one that some of the rivals have gone to. So it's very simple to operate. All you have to do is just pull back for drive, and then bump over here to the left to shift manually right here, or via the paddle shifters, which I already pointed out. It Additionally, when we head into reverse, on the Red Sport, you have the standard around view monitor. So as you can see, you've got both your traditional view with guidance lines, as well as your 360 view. And you can click this button right here to change to different views, so you can see your curbside, to not scrape the rims and whatnot. And also, the mirrors do tilt down when in reverse to help you see the parking lines better. Now back behind the shifter, you'll notice this nice metal toggle, and this is for your drive modes. So you just flick this, and as you can see, you've got quite an assortment. So you've got Eco, Snow, Standard, Sport. The Red Sport also has a Sport Plus, and then you also have a personal mode where you can store your own custom configuration. And then right here is your Infiniti drive mode, Infiniti controller here. This is used for the top screen, whereas this bottom screen is a touch screen, but we'll go into that a little later in the video. Alright, now the next stop up the console here is our audio system. So since this model comes equipped with the optional sensory package, we have the 16 speaker Bose Performance Sound Series. So let's go ahead and take a sample. As you would expect, sound quality is phenomenal, and I also really love the look of the speaker grills. But anyways, as far as the climate controls, you do have a dual zone automatic setup, and as you can see, all of your controls are kind of located here on both sides of the screen. So you got your temperature controls for the driver on this side, and your fan speeds, and then this side has a few extra controls, as well as the passenger temperature controls. And everything is located physically here. So you don't have to use the display or anything, but you can press this button to make some adjustments right here if you'd rather do that. You will also notice we have standard heated seats, but there is not the option for seat ventilation. Anyways, that pretty much brings us up here to our Infiniti InTouch system. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. So like I already mentioned, this system is made up of two different screens. You've got a top screen, which is kind of recessed a little bit, and it's 8 inches, and then you've got this bottom screen, which is more conveniently placed, and it is a touch screen. And both of them are touch screens. However, the top one you can control with this knob as well. So we'll start out up at the top. This is your standard navigation system, and this is the default thing that's going to be pulled up here on the top display. However, it's not the only thing that the system can do. You can press the menu, and the top screen can do a lot of the same things as the bottom screen. So you can go to things like your audio. Now, unlike some other two-screen systems that we may have seen, like in the Acura, with the Acura Link system, the two screens basically work together for different functions. So you notice down here, you've got, this is where you actually input the navigation things, which go up to the top display. Now, as far as other things down here, you'll notice you've got your phone. You can go into your phone book down here as well. As you can see, scrolling is pretty responsive. You also have text message support as well. Hopping over to the next page, you'll notice the drive mode selector. This is where you can customize and make that custom mode that I pointed out earlier with the drive modes. Now this car does come with the app garage. That's where you can go and download different little applications for various things. For instance, like here on this Red Sport, we have a driving performance app. So once this pulls up, you'll see there's like various cool gauges that you can look at. So you've got your MPG, fuel flow, as well as you can see the steering angle, G-forces. So it's pretty neat. However, you will notice that we are missing Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. No word if Infiniti is going to add these at a later date, but as of now, it does not have them. But anyways, that's pretty much the main gist of the Infiniti InTouch system. However, we do have a dedicated tech help video available for those of you who want to learn more. A link to that video is provided in the description. Now moving on up, you do have an auto-dimming mirror with your 3 HomeLink universal remotes built into it. And then you will also find a standard power moonroof as well. As you can see, it is just your traditional size unit, and you do have a wind buffer as well. But overall, I have to say that the cabin of the Infiniti Q50 is aging very gracefully. I really like just how well this cabin balances both luxury and also having a really sporty and cool design. When you open up the door, you will notice that both the steering wheel and the seat do move back to help you get in and out easier. But anyways, that's it for all the front areas. So now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will check out all the back areas. So checking out the rear seat of the 2019 Infiniti Q50, you will find a very competitive amount of space for its class. You'll find 35.1 inches of rear legroom and 37.5 inches of rear headroom, which does place it right on par with the Mercedes C-Class, BMW 3 Series, and Audi A4. Now turning over here to the door trim, it is really nicely appointed. So we do have a nicely leather wrapped armrest with red color contrast stitching, as well as a quilted design above that, and a padded material on the upper portion. Now in addition to that, your window is fully automatic. And turning over to the seat itself, you have a really beautiful design. It's a very comfortable seat, and it does also have the diamond quilting here in the back. Now here in the center, you will find these rear vents standard across all Q50s. However, you will not find your own climate controls or heated rear seats. Now turning over here, you do have a really nice armrest. It does fold down nicely, and you do have some cup holders in the end. Up top, you have a nice headliner, as well as an assist grip and LED lighting. Now behind Drew's seating position, like I said, this is pretty class competitive when it comes to space. So behind Drew's seating position, I have about 6 to 7 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. Now sliding over here with the seat scooted all the way back, as you would expect, it is a little bit more cramped, so we have about 1 inch or 2 of rear leg room. But overall, I'm really impressed by this Q50's rear seat. Although I do wish it had a few more features back here, it's a very comfortable and spacious space to spend time. Now coming around to the trunk, all you have to do is locate the button under the lid, and it will open right up. Now once inside, you're going to find 13.5 cubic feet of space, which does place it on par with most of the rivals like the Mercedes C-Class and Audi A4. Now as you can tell, your seats do fold, and you do also have a trunk pass-through as well. Everything is finished pretty nicely back here with a nice carpeting. And I do want to point out that you do have the hydraulic hinges, so it will not crush your cargo. Coming over to the passenger seat, that same lovely design continues. And you do also have 8-way power adjustment on this model. However, you will not have the power lumbar support of the driver's seat. Now in front of the passenger, of course, your materials are really nice. So you have this nice leather wrapped area of here with stitching going through it. And down below that, you have a really good sized glove box that is felt lined. Now up top, you do have a nice sun visor, has mirrors and lighting.
and it can also detach and extend. But anyway, guys, that sums up all of the rear areas of this Q50. So now let's go ahead and get it out on the road and see how this Red Sport performs.
Now, of course, the main reason you're going to buy a Red Sport Q50 is because you want serious performance, and indeed this car definitely delivers that. Now what it does is it shares the 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 with the lower trim levels. However, this has some special performance upgrades that bring the power all the way up to 400 horsepower, hence Red Sport 400, and 350 pound-feet of torque. This is the highest performance Infiniti engine you can get right now, and it is part of the same engine family shared with the GTR, so that's where it gets that performance cred from. Now, as far as the other trims, you do, like I said, have a lower tune version of this engine, as well as a turbo 4-cylinder. As far as the transmission, you've got a 7-speed automatic transmission, and that is paired with either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And altogether, that's good for a 4.5 second 0 to 60, according to Car and Driver. So definitely,
That's very, very quick.
yes, you're definitely right in line with the M340i, the S4, all the competitors. And then lastly, for your fuel economy, you have pretty decent numbers of 20 city, 26 highway, 22 combined with rear-wheel drive. And then if you go for the all-wheel drive version, you have the same combined rating, but you lose 1 mpg in the city. But anyways, now let's go ahead and take this for a quick spin. Alright, so taking off in the Q50 Red Sport, you're definitely going to be able to tell right off the bat this is a quick car. Yeah, going for the Red Sport, really the main reason is for at 0 to 60.
Yeah, I mean, because the 3.0T Sport has the same engine, so you're going to get pretty much the same sound and that type of thing. But this is going to be a lot more powerful, and you can definitely tell that.
The engine itself is pretty quiet, but one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is Infiniti does offer 2 different factory exhaust systems that you can have installed, and they're not really all that expensive. Like I said, they are factory authorized, and they do make a big impact if you want more sound. I heard one recently, it can actually be really quite loud, if you go for the Nismo version. Now, rounding that corner there, it makes for a good time to talk about the steering. Now this car, as equipped here, we've got the direct adaptive steering, and that actually does not have a physical connection to the wheels, which is what's interesting about it. So that does make for a little bit of an interesting feel. I say interesting not because it's bad, I say interesting because the way it adapts. It's one of the strongest adapting systems I've ever felt. You know, you have certain cars that they firm up or loosen the steering depending on your speed, but this has a really, really strong sensation of that. The steering is incredibly light when you're at parking lot speeds, and then once you start moving, things definitely firm up a lot more, and it's also highly responsive. So just driving around as we've been, I barely turn the wheel more than like just a few degrees is all it ever takes to get the car going in the direction you want it. So it definitely has that laser fast. You can see it just responds instantly.
And while we're cruising down the road here, I know we had a lot of rough roads back a little ways back, and I wanted to mention just how comfortable this car is. This car definitely, it is pretty sporty, but it definitely is very comfortable as well. The seats are amazingly comfortable, and it just feels really, really nicely riding in here.
The power is really,
wow.
will really put a grin on your face. It has great power. Quite like the sound of the engine. Like I said, it is pretty quiet, especially compared to like the C43 that we did recently, but that of course also had the active exhaust system as well. But it has a cool sound. As I've been driving around, it definitely is really growing on me the way that it sounds. It just has like a throaty sound, you know, like I said, it is related
subtle,
to the GTR. It definitely makes known that it is a sporty vehicle. So we'll go into sport mode and also do some manual shifting, and we'll see how this goes. Serious performance there.
Yeah.
Definitely lets in a lot more of the sound too.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a really good thing because, you know, if you want it in sport mode and you want that exhaust note, you can have that. But in regular mode, I mean, going for this Red Sport isn't going to give you too much of a different experience besides giving you a lot more power.
That's right.
Also, while we're sitting here at a red light, I would like to point out that this car does not have auto start stop. So unlike a lot of the rivals like the A4 and C43, this car does not have auto start stop.
I do also want to talk about the transmission. I actually like the way that it behaves. You know, you might look at the sticker and see 7-speed and think that it's maybe a little behind some of the rivals. And this is an older transmission, but Infiniti has definitely tuned it to be very responsive. It does not hesitate in the slightest to downshift, and it shifts quite aggressively to get you moving. So I actually very much like this transmission. really enjoy the drive in the Q50 Red Sport. It's a car I've been wanting to drive actually for a long time. And definitely the performance lives up to the really good looks. You know, you look at this car, you say, boy, that really does look fast with the exhaust pipes and especially this dynamic sunstone paint. And it really is fast. It definitely lives up to my expectations. And I think if you want a family vehicle that still has just incredibly serious performance when you decide to activate it, I think this is an excellent choice.
Alrighty, and as far as the pricing goes for the 2019 Infiniti Q50 Red Sport, you are going to find pretty competitive pricing, especially when you compare it to the S4 and C43 AMG. So for the Red Sport rear-wheel drive, that's going to start at $51,250, and if you want all-wheel drive, that's going to be an additional $2,000 to $53,250. Now, as far as how this particular Q50 is equipped, we have pretty much every option you can add to the Red Sport. So we have the sensory package for $2,650, the proactive package for $2,700, the illuminated kick plates for $485, the glowing emblem in the front for $415, as well as this beautiful paint color for $800, as well as the destination charge for $985, and then all told, this particular model as equipped is $61,045, which, like I said, is about as high as you can get the Q50 Red Sport. And it is worth noting that that's pretty much a value player when you compare it to like the S4 and C43, because they're going to run you closer to $70,000 fully loaded.
Well guys, if you enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the 2019 Infiniti Q50 Red Sport 400, please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.